Hey Lucas, so I figured we could just do a quick review here so we get a few things. A few things here, clarify a few things. I sent you a text saying that this is um, that this trade, there were two layers here to this, and it was whether this made sense to believe that this was a short. As a, as a just a setup from a setup perspective. Is it a setup that makes sense? And I would debate that it's not. You say that it is, and we can have that debate. And I think I am right, but maybe you think you're right. Um, and as always, the truth lies either on one side or the other side, somewhere in the middle. The arguments that you are using are, I believe, very dangerous because if your conviction was coming just from the belief that, oh, that Trump is a liar, that is going to backfire at some point. From the technical perspective, I can tell you what I believe. This was not a short, the way you were seeing it. Um, and I mean, if you're trying to blame me for because you lost, like in fact, I was actually in my head. I was like, "Fuck, why am I following other?" I had my belief when we first saw this. I thought you said this is a double top, and I thought this is actually a third attempt to reclaim that level. It could be going. And you ended up sort of like convincing me, and then I just went all in here trying to find this top here. Like like if anything, I fucking blew up this account because of, following your view here. But I'm not blaming you either because it would be stupid to blame you. The reason I blew up is, and we'll go into that, regardless of whether this setup, let's go into that first, because I said there were two layers, right? One layer is whether this setup makes sense or not, but the other layer is like, if it, even if it were a short, why were we trying to find the top here? And this was actually I was pushing for this. This is where went crazy. Um, why are we trying to find the top of this when we know we should be waiting for confirmation? We should be waiting for that to break of that trend in order for us to be like, okay, yes, now this is a short. So when we were up here, we had, again, this is a problem with trading your conviction or trading your thesis and not trading the price action um, and the technicals and all that stuff. So, this thing is going up higher, 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 and and we're just thinking like, oh, this thing has to be a short. So then we're shorting up here. This thing could have blown us away here. You just brought up the thing with oil, and oil, this chart in oil is literally the inverted version of this. So in oil, here we had this would I guess this would be like the double top that you're looking at. So one and then two, typical. If this is flipped, I don't know how to flip these charts, but if this were the opposite, this would be like one top, double top, and then it would have to be a short, right? But that didn't happen. Came back up here, and then it was attempting the third time. That's exactly what we were here. Like, bam, double top, and then comes back, and it's attempting the third time. And you were saying that this was a short. Well, yeah, sure, in the end it ended up being, but if you go to the oil chart and you do the same thing here, oh, it's a short. Imagine that this chart is flipped, obviously. Um, no, man. Third attempt to take out the same level after a double top that didn't result in a short. It blew right through it. Okay? It blew right through it. From 90, 5 fucking points. Four or 5 points. Blew right through it. And that could have happened here. Bam, double top, supposed to be a short, supposed to die. It didn't die. It stayed. They saved it up here. It's above VWAP, VWAP in an uptrend, and it's coming back to test this level a third time after trapping here. In the end, it turns out that it did exhaust here, and then after this chop, it was eventually a short. But this could have just blown through, just like that one on oil, and it would have ended. In fact, if you zoom out a little bit, we have this area here. This could easily have taken out this level, bam, and gone up to this area and exhausted up in this area. So this is not from a, if you zoom out and from a just a technical higher time frame setup, this is not a short. It's not. From the technical perspective, it's not a short. Double tops tend to be shorts, and this one was it, for example. But here it got saved here. This should have unwound. If this was going to be a true double top that was a rejection from this move here, this should have him double top, unwound, taking out VWAP and continue down lower. That's what it should have done. I exhausted somewhere in this area, but it didn't. It was, double top, short, saved here, and then bam, 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 back up. Trap. This could have easily taken out blown off the top here, and then moved up into this area to exhaust into that area. We're lucky it didn't happen, but that's what could have happened. So I do not believe that that was a short from a technical perspective. Oh, that there was the um, the thesis about whether like Trump was lying or that sort of thing. Okay, that sort of thing adds conviction. Kind of okay, it could explain why the price action or the tape or the or whatever's happening, why it's happening, and then we have an explanation that fits a narrative that it tells us to add conviction. But this is different, man. I mean, you cannot trade your conviction. If you're going to be one of those traders that is like, oh, I believe this is a short, and you just short, and then who cares about the technicals and all that? You're going to blow up every single time, unless you're one of those, unless you're a fucking hedge fund manager. That's what they do, right? They put on positions and they don't even have stop losses or anything because they can, whatever, it's different. They can afford that. But this is not what we do, right? So, um, that's my point, and we can go over why, what's really why VWAP is so meaningful and all that. But regardless of whether you are right or I am right when it comes to this setup, we should have never been trying to find the top here just because we had conviction that this was going to break to the downside. We had a trend line here, and we should have waited for this trend line to be broken and, basically confirmed that we were right. Because here, for example, I mean, the top was here in the 490s, and we ended up going up all the way up here. And we were shorting on the way up, not knowing how high up this was going to go, just because we thought it was going to break trend. The correct way of doing it is waiting for this to break trend, in this case. Then, here it makes a high, a lower high here. This is like a head and shoulders pattern, and then it breaks down. And then here's where these techniques they're new to me. I've never done this stuff before, but I've been doing it and it's been working, which is using those 9 EMAs. And yeah, this could have made sense here. We wait for the break of trend. We wait for this pop. We wait for this. I forget what they call this in technical analysis when you have two candles that are like this, like the same length and everything, and they I can't remember what it is, but it's very bullish, or in this case bearish to this side. It's like a, you know what, it's similar to that to the shooting star, to these top wicks basically. So once boom, this happens, and then it's now back below that EMA, that trade makes sense. That would be a short, obviously. And we could have taken that, but that's very different. This is a lot of time has passed here and a lot of things have changed for us to actually think, okay, this looks like it could be a short. Up here, how the fuck do we know if it's a short or not? And how can you be so committed? We shouldn't have been trying to catch this, to short this off of here. And this was my fault because I was pushing for that as well. It's crazy. We only take trades that are confirmed, man. The trades that have edge are the trades that have that are not gambles. That are, it's like, okay, we know for sure that this is move is going to happen, and then it's about putting, um, timing in the entry right or not. It's not about guessing, saying, oh, I think this is going to happen, so I'm just going to short. So I don't know. That was not a very, good technical review or anything, but these are my thoughts on the subject, man.